This video explains 3 additional odds and ends that you will need to know about before you take the PARCC assessments in the subject of geometry this spring. The PARCC is equipped with naming segments, rays, lines, arcs, etc. using different geometric notations, and they can all be found in the Geometry tab off to the side. So for example, if I wanted to name a segment RS, I can press line segment RS, and that's how you would do a segment. And make sure that once you're done that you end up pressing the over arrow, so then that way you are out of the segment, and then press the space bar to go afterwards. However, when trying to use these features after a given transformation, the different forms of notation will not always work correctly. For example, instead of having a segment A prime B prime, the apostrophe or prime notation default commands, and what I'm referring to is the computer language that's used to create this text frame and program. That makes it look like this. Like I'll actually enter line segment A prime B prime. This is what appears. It doesn't stay as one segment. Therefore, when you're explaining a transformation, you're going to need to use words instead. So in this example, you would need to say segment A prime B prime because their segment notation and line notation does not work. So please keep that in mind as you are taking the test. The next topic that I will be discussing for geometry is writing a proof. Currently, you have this text frame with just about all the symbolic notation that you need. However, there is no set style of explaining or proving why something is true. Therefore, you need to determine which format works best for you. If you can write a paragraph proof of sentences that explain your steps, then you will be fine, because this text frame supports a paragraph proof 100%. Some, but not all students prefer this method. Others prefer either a 2-column or a flow-proof format. Now, because there are no current drawing capabilities, creating a flow proof for the PARCC is currently out of the question. However, you can write a proof that almost represents a 2-column, and here is how. Before you begin, specify your proof format to the grader. You can start off with note, my proof will be given in the following format. And you could do statement, then reason underneath, statement, then reason underneath, and then you can just do a ... to explain that it's going to continue. And then from there, you can start writing your proof. That way all of your thoughts are clearly drawn out and the reasons are provided in an adequate manner. So before you explain your answer or write your proof, you should explain the format that you are using. The final topic that I will be discussing in geometry is solving word problems. As you solve them, you need to use your scrap paper to draw and label pictures. Then as you solve each problem or each step of the problem, you should try to explain what you did to your drawing for the PARCC graders. So for example, one of the sample open-ended questions in trigonometric ratios is this question here. The figure shows the design of a shed that will be built. Use the figure to answer the parts of the task. And it just gives you the dimensions and everything in the picture. Okay. Part A says the builder of the shed is considering using an angle that measures 125 degrees. Determine the surface area of the roof if that 125-degree angle is used. Explain or show your process. And then they would give you that text frame that we've been practicing with available. So my first step in geometry especially is, oh, I have a picture, I need to redraw that. So here's the original picture. I drew a front view of what I had. Okay. And the first step that they told us was that this entire x value was 125 degrees. Well, angle 2 is 90, so then angle 1 is going to be 35 degrees. And that's what you would have to explain to the grader. You have to explain your thought process. And then because this is an isosceles triangle, if I drop down an altitude, it also bisects the bottom. So instead of the whole thing being 18, half of that is 9. So that's what this y value is. And then from there, once you know an angle and you know a side, you can find any other side that you need. So you actually have the capability of drawing everything out on your separate piece of paper. And then once you draw this out and solve your problems, you need to put this into words for the grader. And the reason I say that is because here is the sample student response that PARCC provides that would give you full credit. Notice it says the angle consists of 2 parts. The right angle created by the side of the shed and the top of the rectangular side, and the acute angle that would form a right triangle. And then it explains how they split the 125-degree angle into 90 and 35. And the adjacent side was 9 because half of 18 is 9. And then they go through setting up and finding the measurement of the side. They just wrote it as the trig ratio. You could calculate the trig ratio and put in your decimal answer right here if you needed to. And then from there, do your multiplication to get the area of your roof. Okay, so again, make sure, because you do not have the drawing capabilities on the PARCC, that you actually explain what you drew and how you got those values. And those are the additional odds and ends that you should know about prior to taking the PARCC geometry assessments within the next few months. I hope that you found this video helpful, and I hope that you have a great day.